Nigeria Info, Sam Oracle Chinedu here, a couple minutes past 5 p.m. And for our final conversation on hard facts, we're looking at education. The federal government is stating that by this time next year, it's almost like a prophecy, a declaration, they've announced that the West African Economic Council, WAEC, and National Economic, I beg your pardon, did I say economic? West African Examination Council, no vex. It will seem like I didn't take WAEC. You know what, just pretend the last few seconds did not happen. Let me start again. Welcome back. It's still Hard Facts 92.3 Nigeria Info. Sam Oracle Chinedu here. The federal government has announced that the West African Examinations Council, WAEC, and National Examinations Council, NECO, would fully adopt computer-based testing for their exams starting May-June 2026. And this was disclosed by the Minister of Education, Dr. Tunji Alausa, during the monitoring of ongoing examinations alongside officials of Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAM, in Abuja. Dr. Lausa said WAEC and NECO would begin administering their objective papers using CBT starting this November. Now that is good news and bad news, depending on where you stand and how it affects you. But let's see if we can hear from the minister.
So we're going to get WAEC and NECO by November of this year to also start their objective exam on CBT. By next exam, there are 2026 exams which will come up in May, June. Both the objectives and the essay will be fully on CBT. That is how we can eliminate exam malpractices. We want our children to study.
Okay, well, that is the agenda. But I'm concerned about if we are ready for this, because it's exactly 1 year. It's next year. Do we have all it takes to make this complete transition by 2026? My guest is my go-to guest when it comes to all things education. Ikechi Wogu is an educational consultant, and he joins me via CBT, computer-based interview. Hello.
Hello, Sam. How you doing?
I'm well. How you doing?
I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. So, straight to business. Are we ready for a complete transition to computer-based testing by next year, considering where our education is at this time?
Okay. I have a long story to tell, but I'm thinking I'm not sure I can tell the story the way I would want to.
Okay.
Readiness has been long coming. I mean, this journey for me, federal government and everyone began as far back as 2003. That's more than 20 years ago. Okay. The first time I did. Okay, let me just do it in. The first time I had this conversation, we had this conversation. Some of us was in 2003 when we walked up to NECO in Mina, and then we said, "Hey, this is possible. We can combat exam malpractice." And then NECO didn't seem keen on this. Right. Then up until 2007, the registrar for NECO became the registrar for JAM. I sat down with him again and we began to talk, and he said, yes, it's possible. They want to do that. CBT and all that. Then to 2015, when it became official, the minister, Ikechi, made the pronouncement that CBT is the way to go. And JAM JAM as a body began to study how that would work. And up till now, a lot of the government schools have not become fully ready. A lot of the state governments have not even begun to explore, the likelihoods, let alone the possibilities of this. And that's where the setback would come. Private schools have scaled up. A lot of private schools have their computer centers and all that. But I don't want us to judge by what Rivers State is doing or what Lagos State is doing. But even if you look at Rivers and Lagos, I mean, it was in 2007, 2008 that the then governor of Rivers State made the efforts to set up, computers in the new schools. But that doesn't seem to have been sustained adequately. So when the federal government makes the statement, it sounds exciting, but when you do your reality check, you ask your question, how many public schools in Rivers and Lagos states, and probably in Abuja, are ready for this. I give you a job as far as 2003, that's 22 years ago. Okay, they weren't prepared. This is 22 years after. You don't see the green light, and then they want to do all of this in 1 year. Nigerians are miracle workers. Okay, happens everywhere. We'll prepare for the Olympics and all that. 2 weeks to time. So, judging by our miracle abilities, maybe they can make it happen. But if you look at what is on ground in terms of readiness, there isn't too much to be excited about. Anyone can make a policy statement, but following through with the policy. Because look, you're looking at collaborating with the state governments. You're looking at numbers. You're looking at arrangements to say CBT will be it. And Sam, don't forget that CBT for WAEC is not CBT for JAM.
Yes, sir.
JAM has just CBT, OBJ. WAEC has, the test of orals, the practicals, the OBJ, and then the theory, the essay part.
Yeah.
All of these combined, you can't do essays with CBT. Test of orals, are you going to do voice notes? So they will still need to go back to the drawing board, run their analysis checks, run their possibility checks before they say this is it and this is the way to go. They've not done that yet. So by my assessment, they are not nearly ready for this.
Okay, so if we begin today and we move at whatever pace, no matter how fast, how long do you think we would need for a complete transition?
For a decisive government, they can do anything in 6 months. I mean, it's just to order computers in. But what's the budget on education? This man saying this is only hoping that, okay, they're designing their budgetary frame for the new year. And in view of that, maybe it to be imputed into the budget. But it still needs to go through budgetary reviews, and there are still a lot of uncertainties. I mean, factors that are beyond the immediate control of the ministry. So 6 months, anything is possible. 1 year, anything is possible. But in Nigeria, like they say in the exams, it's impossible to say how true that can be.
And the concern is, with JAM, they use centers. With WAEC, it's the schools. Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, for JAM, everybody goes to a center. Even when it wasn't CBT, there were JAM centers. You did not necessarily write it in your school. You went somewhere. But now, every secondary school at least has SS3 students that will take WAEC, meaning that every school must have computers.
Yeah, to some extent.
My goodness.
At least 100 computers, so you want to work with a certain ratio. JAMB is 1 day, okay, so you just go 2 hours, you're done. Okay, except when WAEC would dismember their structure in such a way that even with the CBTs, you can go to an almighty center beyond your school, do the CBT, the results are recorded against your name, and then you can come back to your school to do the other tests, like the test of practicals and the test of, the other tests that come with WAEC. That is also possible. But then the logistical challenge will now be result entry. I wasn't accorded my proper scores. My CBT doesn't quite match with my test of essays and orals and all that. Does WAEC have the technical ability to do that? We assume that they should, but these are concerns. And then, of course, all those minor errors would have to be dealt with. Eventually, they put the components together. All I want to ensure as a student is, yes, even if I write my WAEC exam, my NECO exams over 1 month, it's spread over 1 month. My dates may not align with some states, but eventually my scores released should be my scores, meaning that my test of orals correct results, right? They didn't switch results, they didn't misplace results. Already, the way it is, we decry a lot of missing results with WAEC. I mean, the way it is, the logistical challenge is less now. How much more will you have to write your CBT in another center? It's so easy that your results should be sent straight, should be kept in the server, and then it's managed, and then WAEC handles that. But some levels of carelessness, we need to be justified that all things are equal, even though things are not always equal, right? And then the candidates are adequately protected. For me, these are the major concerns, and WAEC needs to sort those out, but it's good to start, like they usually say, the best way to desire of all of this is to ensure that each school has their own computers, okay, adequate for the number of candidates that would enroll in that school, and that would find a way to avoid going elsewhere to write and then defeating the entire purpose.
Why didn't the education ministry, the federal government, focus on educational reforms instead, giving governors an ultimatum to raise education to a certain standard instead of stating that by 2026 we'll do, like, now that you've said it and I think about it, they're doing it in reverse.
Yeah. Well, most of the time, the political governance in Nigeria relates strongly with cloud chasing. Everyone wants to say it was in my time that this was done. So sometimes we really don't think processes through. We don't think concepts through. We call it policy impact assessment, PIA. Policy impact assessment in Nigerian governance is really poor. We just go to talk. Talk is cheap. But then following through it, when we have talked, then we begin to analyze and realize that, oh, probably we shouldn't have talked in a hurry. Put the framework on ground first, and then you begin to talk. So if the government of the day has this as a vision, yeah, it's fine. It sounds good. It sounds good, I mean, beyond analysis. Then you begin to work at the back end through processes to ensure that this our vision we're looking at. We need to ensure that, we cross our T's properly and dot our I's properly. But in Nigeria, we scarcely do that.
All right.
Then it always comes out with a lot of errors because of poor background analysis and background checks.
Okay.
But maybe let's keep our fingers crossed that this time will be different.
Yeah. Let's let's hope. Let's hope. Fingers crossed. We have a break coming up. After that, we'll be looking at what problems may have existed with JAM's CBT. They've been running that for quite some years now. What challenges have they faced? And of course, a step-by-step guide to ensuring that we can achieve our 2026 goals. Stay with us. still hard facts, 92.3 Nigeria Info. We're talking education, and we have gone from computer-based communication to physical. So Ikechi Wogu is right here with me in the studio. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Yes, indeed. It's a pleasure always sharing time and space with you. So JAM has been on this, JAM are OGs. I feel like they will be advisors to WAEC now, telling them, this is how things are done.
Absolutely.
I'd like to see that. But do we still have problems with JAM CBT? Are there challenges? Have students complained about certain things that they may not have tackled at this time? Because if that's the case, then WAEC would definitely face those problems as well.
Yeah, the truth is, in all fairness, we've monitored this for a while. There's tremendous work in progress. But you still have those cases of maybe not necessarily to JAM, but to the accredited CBT centers.
Okay.
Yeah, cases like when my oldest daughter wrote her UTME, that was like 2 years ago.
Okay.
Or is it 3 years ago now? Right. There was a young man that sat next to her. She came out saying that this guy couldn't do anything. He worked with a bad system.
My goodness.
Yeah. So the prayer is always, God, give my children good systems.
Hey.
So you just want to work and the system doesn't time out. Because the guy's system timed out like 3 times.
My goodness.
And, he has clocked in his details.
Yeah.
And there may not be any record of anything. So I don't know how JAM managed it. They will tell you that they would go to the back end and see, but how do you spot that? And you've clocked in your details, so it's recorded that you have written the exams.
Yes.
It could auto-submit at the other end. Okay, and then the way the CBT thing works. You are allotted a certain time.
Yes.
You have to be there by 6:30 a.m. 30 minutes for accreditation, and then the exam starts at 7. You're there till 9, and then you are within that time frame. Okay, they send you the text, and then your system does this. So it's always going to be an issue with Nigeria. Okay, until they work to perfect it. But even the look and feel this year with the JAM CBT was an improvement. My daughter came in telling me, wow, they've really improved a lot of stuff. So that shows work in progress. And so the good thing with WAEC is WAEC wouldn't be starting from the scratch. They're not reinventing the wheel. What they would do is, if they've been careful to observe, they would look at the gray areas and work to fix them, which can be done in 1 year. But the major thing is there the budget for it? Because you're looking at 2,000 candidates on average write UTME every year.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with WAEC. Even though WAEC should be more. That's why it's written twice.
It should, yeah.
Yeah, it should be more, but then it could be repeated. If JAM is written over 1 year, UTME is written over 1 month, maybe WAEC could stretch it a little further. But like I said, it's just the objective component of the WAEC exams now that should be CBT. Everything else can just be managed that they've been doing that, and they put the results together.
I can't stop thinking about the frustration of that guy with a faulty system. Like, I'm just seeing, oh my goodness, that's not good.
I've seen a case like that. The boy he was a calm person, and he said he couldn't. I was in the team at the time, and then the guy wasn't frustrated. And guess what? He came back the following year. I was in the team again, the same city. He came back the following year, and the guy really did well. But this time around, it was back then you could do the 2 options.
Yeah,
you wanted CBT or pen on paper.
Okay.
The second year, he opted for pen on paper.
Ego.
And he did excellently well.
That guy must be an Arsenal fan. Frustration. But he knows heartbreak. That composure is not. You don't just get it by mistake. It's earned.
And funny enough, he came from the diaspora.
Oh my!
Most of these children whose dads just want to come school in Nigeria.
Yeah.
And the boy came in 2 years. He wasn't resident here. Okay. So each time he would come, he would take the exams and go back. And it can be frustrating, really, and we really don't want that.
We all took JAM now. I know what it's like. You know how, because of how as our education sector is, we prioritize education in Africa and Nigeria particularly.
Yes.
So if you miss an exam or there's something, we always see it like your future, your life, your destiny.
Your mates don't pass you.
And
you know the funny thing, the waiting time. Now, no matter how good the systems are, we know how systems work.
Yeah.
They need to be upgraded. Softwares need to be upgraded. So there's no guarantee that that so-called perfect CBT center can guarantee you the same level of excellence and perfection the following year. So one system, two systems. So this year you could accredit them because there are 500, 1,000 systems, right? And then by next year, most of those 1,000 have dropped by 200 that need to be serviced. And again, what is the level of attraction of the private sector? Is it something that maybe a private individual or a private company could say, I'm setting up a test center with 10,000 computers? That is prime. How many of those will you have across the nation? So have we attracted them well enough into the business of education? These are questions to ask and answer.
Yes, indeed. We're all here for 2026 to see how WAEC and NECO pulls it off. We cannot wait. But with the little time we have, I believe you and I can engage. The question for you is, if WAEC and NECO go fully computer-based in 2026, will your child be ready? Now, my conversation with my guest is if the authorities, the federal government, WAEC and NECO will be ready. For you, it is, will your own child be ready? 0817-923-0002. Hello, good evening.
Yes, Samorako.
Good evening.
Evening, my brother. It's Comrade Quinty from Bori.
All right, go ahead.
The thing is that are we really ready like we act? I don't think that we are entirely ready. It's a very good innovation as in that it reduces cost. It brings a more efficiency in terms of how results are being released, how results are being monitored, exams are being monitored, transparency. But what are the challenges that we are going to face, those of us in the rural areas? Some of our schools, Samorako, don't even have computer centers equipped. Some of our schools don't even have a computer teacher to teach our children. How would they be able to write this exam effectively? Again, the public schools are highly populated. This is not like JAM, where we know once every year you write a subsidiary for JAM and enter into university. All schools should be writing WAEC at the same time. So I think that the gap is just too much between public school and private schools. The government should do more and focus on doing the needful in our public schools so that our schools are ready for this particular innovation.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Well, hold on. You haven't answered the question I asked you personally. Do you have any child around the JAM taking age?
I am a teacher.
Oh, okay. I see why you answered the way you did. That will be all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
That was a perfect answer coming from a teacher. Eric calls from Gokana. Hello, Eric.
Yeah, good evening. Oracle, thank you so much.
Good evening. Can you speak up, please?
Yes.
Okay.
Your guests have actually done some justice to the topic people are discussing, and I so love it. I'm at home listening to all of you. Thank you so much. My conclusion is just that WAEC can actually do their best. But the challenge we are going to have here is the government. Because many of the schools we have do not have light, they don't even have computer, and they don't even have facilities. So how do they begin? Because some of the children even in SSC do not even know the basic laboratory equipment. They don't know the chemicals. They don't know so many things like that. If I have to tell you, in a year, I see if WAEC are actually very serious, they can do this thing. Because even in terms of practical, they can make it alternative to practical.
Okay.
What they needed the children to draw, they can draw it themselves and ask some of the parts and the name and the rest of the thing. And put it on that computer basis. So they can actually achieve it. But the issue is going to be power, the environment, the distance for the children to be transported to the place that is going to be a center. But rather, this is supposed to be covering all schools, or at least in a local government, about 5 or 6 schools who can have this center.
Okay.
So are they ready to sponsor this thing? So the ball is in the court of the government.
All right, Eric.
To set up their schools to standard.
Thank you very much. I have to move on now. Gospel, you have just a minute. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon.
All right, go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead, please.
The students don't have not seen computer.
Please turn off your radio.
have not seen computer. They have not practiced. How then could they take it as an exam? It will be a strength to them. They train. To train them, the mode of random, how to assess computer. If not, if you're a mess, some people will be looking at computer and the time will lapse. They will not do anything because they don't know what they're talking about. You know, some schools don't have computer teachers. I'll tell you, computer teachers. And the children they are going to the market are novice of that one. They should send people to secondary schools to prepare them. Even if they don't give them all the rudiments of computer, at least to tell them the rudiments of taking an exam on the computer. If not, some be strange looking at the screen and they will not do anything.
Oh, thank you, Gaspar.
It will be if they do.
Yes, we're hoping that we can get to that point. We're down to literally 2 minutes. So, Ikechi Wogu, at this point, I guess we'll just...
the concerns are mainly beyond the computers. You could equip the computers, but what's the power issue, right? You've not perfected that. So even the Ministry of Education would have the burden of collaborating with other ministries. Oh, Ministry of Power, can you ensure that there's no power outage across Nigeria within this time frame? Because it's terrible, because the government doesn't have what it takes to equip the schools with generators or solar devices and all that. So it's still a long way to freedom. The government may have wishes, but there are other supporting frameworks that just need to be put in place, and it's what it is.
All right, so thank you, sir. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah,
Sam, we can achieve that, but must we pray about it to work? No, we have to add prayer. This one needs deliverance. It needs prayer. Ikechi, thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.
All right, program plays now, and at the top of the hour, we have the major news. After that, it's open season. Stay with us.